Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. Hi, Professor Devaros. Good to see you. Christine, Diego,
Hello,
Adiba.
everyone.
See everyone
Hi,
here.
Christine. Hi, Jessica. Hi, Christine. Hi, Diego.
Hi.
Hi, everyone. We're so excited to have you here today. I want to welcome all of the admitted students that joined us. I think a few more will be trickling in. And first and foremost, we want to congratulate you on your admission to the University of Southern California and to the Department of Civil and Environmental Engineering in particular. You're going to get a lot of useful information today. You'll get to hear from some of our amazing current students, and hopefully we'll be able to answer any questions you may have. I'm going to go ahead and start by sharing a few slides, a general overview and some important reminders. Give me one moment. Okay, great. So as I mentioned, congratulations and welcome to the Trojan family. We are a very tight-knit, very expansive group of students and staff and faculty and alumni. This is a connection that we say is lifelong and worldwide, and we're very happy to have you in it. Welcome to the University of Southern California as well. I'm sure, as many of you know, we are a leading private research university in Los Angeles, California. And the School of Engineering in particular is one that I want to tell you a little bit more about today. So USC itself has more than 46,000 students, and within the School of Engineering, one of the largest professional schools on campus, we have more than 6,000 students pursuing master's and PhD programs. So we actually have more graduate students than undergraduate students, both at the School of Engineering and USC as a whole. We are a leading graduate engineering program in the country. Kind of talking about the Trojan family. Within the engineering school alone, we have more than 76,000 alumni worldwide. I think this is great, not only in the sense that you're part of this great large community, but it also has a lot of amazing implications in terms of mentorship opportunities, community connections, career opportunities, and so forth. We are also a research university, as I mentioned, and we definitely see how that plays out within the School of Engineering. A lot of cutting edge research being done. We have 38 research centers in the school and more than $213 million in annual research expenditures. I want to point out in particular the line you see at the top here about engineering a better world for humanity. This is a sort of motto that we see take place in all of the programs in the School of Engineering and definitely within civil and environmental engineering, where projects and research are done with the intention of making society a better place, of directly challenging some of society's problems of today and the future. So we're excited to have you be part of that socially conscious philosophy. A little bit about our location. So as I mentioned, we are in Los Angeles, California, which is not only a global center for international business and the arts and entertainment, it's also a global hub for innovation. What you see in this map is specifically pointing out an area known as Silicon Beach, which is very much a hub for this kind of innovation. A lot of course, startups are there, tech companies, but also you can see the relation of that location to USC. So we do have a lot of our graduates working there. We have some research centers based there. But once you're a student of USC, that Trojan name really spans beyond Los Angeles and Southern California, throughout the state, and certainly across the country and world. There's a lot more to say about Los Angeles than what I've just covered, and I'm sure the students will be able to share with you a little bit more about what makes it such a dynamic city to live and study in. I would be remiss not to mention the infrastructure law that was recently passed by President Biden, just in terms of the opportunities that it presents to US civil engineers in terms of jobs that will be made available and just demands in the sector. We're going to see a lot of opportunities for people to be able to improve our roads, make infrastructure more resilient to climate change, deploy new energy technologies. So this is a very, very exciting time to advance your knowledge and your skills in this area. So I commend you for doing this and want to get you excited to be doing this in the US, in particular for those of you who will be joining us from other countries. I know many of you are interested to know where our graduates end up working. We do have some of that information available on our website. I've put a snapshot here. There's a longer list on the URL listed at the bottom here, and we will be updating that page with 2020 and 2021 employment outcomes by next week. So definitely you can check back and see all the various places that our recent alumni are working at now. We've also included some statistics for you from the US Bureau of Labor Statistics, where you can see how critical it is to be able to study civil engineering in Los Angeles and California in terms of your employment opportunities. California has one of the highest employment levels. Los Angeles in particular, #2 highest metropolitan area for employment level of civil engineers, and it is the top paying state in the country for civil engineers. They provided this annual mean wage. I do want to clarify this is for all levels of a profession. I'm sure starting salaries may be lower than what you see here, but generally speaking, the annual mean wage for civil engineers in California is, you can see the range on this slide. We have a wonderful, diverse community of students that I'm excited for you all to join and get to know. We want to make sure that you not only excel inside the classroom, but outside of the classroom as well. And so much of that is making connections with your peers. It's being part of student organizations based on your interests, joining cultural communities that you can identify with, learn from, take part in events. So I want you to be aware that there are tons of ways that you can get involved and feel part of community at USC. And so I'm just going to share with you what some of those resources are right now. We do have a platform known as Unibuddy, where you can chat directly with our current students, including Diego and Adiba, who are here with us today. This is a great chance for you. If you don't get any questions answered, you could chat with them later here on this page, or even students outside of this department, just to hear about graduate student life at USC. You can also take a virtual tour of campus. For those of you who haven't had a chance to experience our campus yet, it's gorgeous. You could check out the various engineering buildings and research centers, as well as main plazas of campus. You can see what student organizations the university offers, the Viterbi School in particular, as well as those within the Department of Civil and Environmental Engineering, and the links that are here. Safety and wellness resources, housing, international student support services, everything is available at USC. And I will make sure you get a copy of these slides so that you can follow these links and get more information. Just going to wrap things up here really quickly. 2 important deadlines to be aware of. If you are an international student, you will need to submit financial documents by April 15th. That will give us enough time to process your financial documents and get you your official letter of admission so that you can go ahead and accept your admission offer. For the rest of you, May 1st is the last day to submit your statement of intent, and that includes the $500 commitment deposit, which will go towards your tuition. So May 1st is the last day that you can tell us that you are in and want to be part of the Trojan family officially. After you submit the statement of intent, you'll have access to many, many more resources, including information about orientation, the ability to be partnered with a mentor. So we do have a really great mentorship program where you can be partnered with a current graduate student who helps you navigate life at Viterbi and USC. You'll also be able to attend more thorough webinars about course registration and other information. For those of you who may be Dennett Viterbi students, you can set up your profile, as well as get started in figuring out where you want to live housing-wise. Here is just some ways that you can stay connected with our office. I'm part of the Viterbi admission and student engagement team. Do follow us on social media if you don't already. And with that, I want to turn it over to Dr. de Barros, who is the Associate Professor of Civil and Environmental Engineering. And later we'll hear from Christine Shea, who's the Associate Director of Graduate Student Services.
Thank you so much, Jessica. Beautiful presentation, very well explained. I love the Biden touch you gave to it.
Throw that in there.
Yeah, but it's actually a very, very true. Our students welcome, really. We're very happy to have you here. Congratulations on being admitted. We're here to answer your questions, but let me just reemphasize a few things that Jessica mentioned, and she did a beautiful job. I mean, I'm just gonna generate a little bit more entropy around what she said, of course, ornament things a little bit more in a chaotic sense. She's very organized, clearly. So apologies if I go around, meander through the topic. But this is something really important, what she mentioned. I mean, there's a huge investment in infrastructure here in the United States at this moment. The American Society of Civil Engineers, if I recall correctly, the score for civil infrastructure is D. In the American system, you have like A, B, C, D, F. I mean, other countries have different ways of doing this grading, right? So a D score is really, really bad. So it means that motivated a lot of investments, obviously, in infrastructure. So we're going to see a significant amount of funding in civil engineering throughout the upcoming years, and that's going to reflect on jobs, obviously. Now, when you think about civil engineering and in the context of LA, there are so many exciting things, right? I mean, when you think about Los Angeles, this is like a mega city going through significant amount of stress from anthropogenic behavior, humans, demographics. So we have a high density of people living here, and that creates a significant amount of stress in our natural environment, such as water, for example, right? I mean, if you go to Orange County, you have a lot of people removing a lot of water all the time, so that creates a lot of issues related to water resources engineering, but also civil engineering too, when it comes to structural engineering, right? Because as you withdraw water from the environment, you also create subsidence, so that causes a lot of problems in geotechnical issues related to civil engineering structures. And at the same time, we have a very complicated system of traffic as well, transportation, for example, and it's linked to infrastructure. So civil engineering is a very relevant area. It's always been, but I think nowadays in this world where there's this huge hype on artificial intelligence, right, and data sciences, correct? These algorithms, they cannot just be applied to civil engineering. We need domain experts. We need people like you to make sense of the data, right? So problems are becoming more and more complicated, and you are the solution. Or better, you will be providing the solution, right? You're part of the solution, but you provide the solution. So there are a lot of interesting problems that we have here in Los Angeles, in California, and over the United States, and globally too, right? The beautiful thing about having such an international community is that it allows us professors, at least, and your fellow colleagues to have a big overview of what the world is. And we see the problems at the global scale, not just localized, just like LA itself, right? So having this diversity of thoughts coming from different countries when solving homework questions in our classes or projects in our civil engineering program, right, gives a huge diversity in a way of thinking about problems, right? So a solution that comes from another part of the world might be very well applicable here in California. So that's a fun thing that I think it's very unique to the program itself. Another thing that I would like to say is the faculty. You're going to be having classes with an outstanding group of people, right? And they're going to be bringing more and more what's happening at the state of the art, meaning research. You're going to have very research active professors and people that know the state of the art in technology, and you're going to be getting that information in your class, aside from the network and connections for the job market too, right? I don't know how much I should talk because I don't know how much in terms of timing I have. I don't know how Jessica, how much time Jessica allocated for each person to talk. But if you do have any questions, please let me know. I'll be very happy to answer. Just a curiosity, I know we have about 11 attendees over here, and this is all civil engineering. Is most of the people focusing on structures, construction? Can you guys speak a little bit so that I can know what is the allocation of areas? Or
I'm going to allow them to talk right now, but if not, you're welcome to put in the chat which specific program you were admitted to.
Thank you. Yeah, but talking is totally fine. Please don't be shy. Transportation, construction management, structure. I haven't got everyone here. Anybody want to say anything? Okay, people are typing. Okay. All right. Oleg, do you want to say anything? I saw a hand being. Okay. So I see pretty much construction, structures, transportation. Do we have any questions? Please feel free to talk. Don't be shy.
You know, I can do also is go through, I have, while students think of their questions, I can share my screen and show the students just a couple things about
Okay.
the department, and maybe that will generate some more questions. And of course I'm Christine, and then of course we have Diego and Adiva joining us as current students for our student panel. So we'll do that in a minute, but let me just go forward here. Oh, it looks like Jeremiah does have a question. Jeremiah, we'll get to you in just a second since I'm rolling. I'm just going with it. So quick overview of the civil program. You can see the breakdown of civil students by undergrad, master's, and PhD. Our master's students make up a very significant chunk of our students in the department. And then we have a lot of faculty, kind of a nice split between tenured track and then those who are part-time or adjunct. So you get a nice balance between the research and people who are also working in industry. I know that some questions we got before this started was about research areas. So here we have 4 research areas. Dr. DeBarros would probably speak better about the research areas that I could. So if you want to chime in or add.
Of course. Yeah, of course. Thank you, Christina. That's very useful. So the department, the way the department is actually structured, the way we hired a faculty is not so much focused on specific silos, like for example, structural engineering, transportation, environmental engineering, water resources engineering, but actually we hired more on areas. So we try to get faculty that focused, on holistic perspectives. For example, we have 4, let's say 4 areas of focus, which I'll just explain over here really quickly. So the first one is sustainable development, right? So sustainability, which is a big issue and very relevant in societies. We have also water quality, access and distribution. So that's about water per se. Then we have disasters and extreme events. So that's like a tsunami, an earthquake, maybe an extreme rain event, and then finally coupling of complex systems when you think about transportation engineering, for example, right? Just to give an example, I'll use myself as an example. Okay, so my name is Felipe de Barros, as I was introduced before. My focus on research is on groundwater contamination. So I develop mathematical models to predict how contaminant plumes, they move in a subsurface environment. So when you think about groundwater pollution problems, clearly there's a problem related to water quality and how you distribute and access clean water. So that's number 2, that's topic number 2. At the same time, when I'm protecting groundwater resources, I want to keep those resources sustainable. That's area number 1, that's sustainable development, right? When you think about a contamination spill that occurs, let's say a fracking fluid reached an aquifer, for example, right? That's an extreme event. The probability of that happening is very small, but it can happen, right? That's an extreme event, right? And at the same time, when you think about a plume of some contaminant moving through a geological formation, which is a very complicated system to model because you have heterogeneities, complicated geological formations and so on. And when that reaches, let's say, a pumping well, and that water is actually going to move to a water supply system, for example, that coupling between anthropogenic actions or engineering systems and the natural system, that could be seen as a coupling of complex systems. So in my case, I fit in all 4 categories, right? And our faculty is really focused on that. For example, here in this picture here, the gentleman to the right of the picture here with the helmet, that's Professor Dan McCurry. He's a water chemist. He's an environmental engineer, a professor. He works on sustainability, water quality, aspects of things. So he fits into 2 categories of these 4. So our faculty, when we hired people in our department, they're pretty much focused on problems that society is actually facing. And these are four major problems we believe that are very relevant for society today. So sorry, Christina, I went a little bit too long on this. My apologies. But if you have questions, please do ask.
No, thank you. No, thank you very much. I should have taken notes so I can explain it better next time I do this. But moving along, and just in terms of the master's programs that we offer, we have several. We have the master's in civil engineering, which is just plain the master's civil engineering, no emphasis. But if you want to choose an emphasis, and some of you applied to an emphasis within our department, there's advanced design and construction technology, there's construction engineering, structural engineering, transportation programs, water waste management, transportation systems, and environmental engineering. The programs highlighted in red on the screen are those that are available through the Distance Education Network, so you could complete it completely online. But these are the different programs that we have within the department. And just to kind of give you a quick overview of what you can expect in terms of taking coursework, most of our degree programs require that you complete a minimum of 28 units. Our master's in construction management is a 32-unit program. And then our transportation systems management program is anywhere between 32 and 35 units. It's based on the exact coursework that Dr. Moore suggests that you take. And a typical course load, our students are generally taking 8 units a semester. That's considered full-time for a master's student. If you're working, we do recommend just one class, which is most of our classes are 4 units. So we recommend that you do 4 units your first semester as a working student. And if you feel after one semester you can, no problems, it was easy, fantastic, we can talk, excuse me, my lights go off if I don't move enough. There we go. Then we can talk about you adding more units the following semester. And I do know that Diego had the experience of being a full-time employee, and I think at one point working and going to school at the same time, full-time. So you can ask him his questions about that. In terms of semesters, how long it takes to get out of here with your degree, you're looking at typically 3 to 4 semesters. Every now and again, we'll get a student who tries to fast track it into 2 semesters, but most of our students are somewhere in the 3 and 4 unit semester. And then our working students usually stagger out their time at USC. And just in terms of popular job titles here, just kind of a sampling of where we see our students going in terms of job titles. I'll let you read that. But at the bottom there, we do recognize that we have students who go into other fields. We have students who've gone off and continued on to be attorneys or go into policy making, business startups and different things like that. So there are just different ways you can use this degree, certainly. And just in terms of engagement for success, I don't know if I introduced myself beyond what Jessica mentioned, but again, my name is Christine Shea. I'm the Associate Director of Student Services in the Astani Department of Civil and Environmental Engineering. And I'm one of the advisors here to help you during your path at USC as you need to select coursework. If you run into trouble, like, gosh, it's really hard to work and be a student, I'm kind of here to help guide you along your time here. But outside of me, we have a dean's office where we have a Viterbi Admission and Student Engagement, or BASE for short. The BASE office offers support, especially if you're an international student. You'll interact with them very often because they help you make sure that you're maintaining visa status. But they also host a lot of fun student engagement programs for our students as well. And on that, we do recommend that students get involved while they're here. I know Diego is a big proponent of that, certainly, about getting involved. So those are just a quick few words that I had. And now again, we can switch back to student questions. Or Diego and Viva, if you want to introduce yourselves, you're welcome to do that in case our admitted students have questions for you.
Adiba, you can go first.
Okay, great. Can you guys hear me? Okay, my name is Adiba Majumder, and I'm a Civil Engineering Master's of Science student at USC. So I actually live in Torrance, California, so not too far from LA. And I mainly chose USC because of the opportunities to get involved in research, and as well as, the professional opportunities.
And my name is Diego Jacome. I'm a second-year master's student in construction management. So I see a couple of construction engineering and management students here, which is very, very exciting. I chose a USC because I am a working student, as Christine mentioned. I work full-time. I tried to be great at USC full-time. So I definitely wanted to take advantage of the networking and the resources available. And it's been incredibly empowering to be a part of this group. So I'm happy to answer questions on how to get involved in things and how to sort of navigate through how do you balance the two. It's a really important skill to learn, and Viterbi has been really awesome in helping me get there.
Yeah, I actually forgot to mention that I'm in the water and waste management program.
And Jessica, I don't know if we have questions that you're seeing, but if there are any questions that you need to lob our way,
I just see a question. I don't know if it's directed to the students or more you, Christine, about it's a civil engineering admitted student who's interested in specializing in water resources. Is that possible to do?
yeah. So if you're talking about water and waste management, we do have a degree program that you could look into. Generally, I mean, we'd have to, case by case basis about switching majors within the department. But generally, if you're admitted to one Master's of Science in Civil Engineering, you can move into another of the Master's of Science in Civil Engineering. But we would do a spot check just to make sure you're on the right path.
I'll pose a question to both Diego and Adiba. Let's start just talking a little bit about the classes in your programs. Can you share how hands-on they are? Are they more theoretical or project-based? And generally, how demanding do you find the courses to be? Diego, do you want to start?
Sure. Okay. Well, we're alternating. This is good. So for me, the MCM program specifically is very versatile because it allows me the opportunity to take classes, at Marshall School of Business or the School of Architecture or Viterbi. I can make them as technical or as managerial based as possible, which is exactly what I was looking for. So some of the really cool classes that I've taken, so like project controls classes and finance classes, which are not incredibly traditional in that historically technical MS degree. So I really enjoyed that because it helped me kind of prepare myself better for the next step in industry. They are, however, very time intensive because the expectation is that you already sort of have a little bit of a background, and it's really kind of what you make of it. So I think, as Christine mentioned, my first semester, I did start with 2 classes, and she was very mad at me. But I just thought, like, let me test this out, and I learned that 2 classes is really it's challenging. It's incredibly challenging, and so I would say that a 4-unit class in a master's program is good enough to keep you busy if you're interning or working part-time. So that's kind of how it was for me. I'm sure Adiba has potentially a similar experience.
Yeah, I feel like Diego covered it really well. I definitely feel like my classes are really project-based and also very conceptual. So, and I think it's really diverse. So sometimes, like last semester, I took a water quality course, and then now I'm taking a human disaster and security management course. So I think it's really cool because we're able to learn so many aspects of civil engineering that I didn't even know, like they all connect so well. So I think it's definitely more enjoyable than undergrad classes, in my opinion, because it is very conceptual, and you get a better exposure.
Thank you. I think you both already answered some of the questions that I'm seeing come through the chat. Someone wanted to know about the ability to take classes maybe in a different department or even a different school. Diego, you mentioned you did, right? Like finance classes, et cetera. Christine, is that generally something students would need to get approval for, or is that already integrated somehow in the curriculum for these programs?
For many of our programs, there's a fair amount of elective coursework. And by elective, we do mean like approved electives related to the engineering degree. No, just choosing whatever you want. But yeah, we do have a set of approved electives that aren't always in the department. So Diego's program, the Master's of Construction Management, it does have approved electives from programs across campus, not just within our department or within the Viterbi School of Engineering. And then again, some of our other, many of our other degree programs have some flexibility for students to look outside. I'm pretty sure that Aviva, you took SSCI course, I think, perhaps
Yeah.
too. So yeah, so our students can move around. So yes, but always check in with us if you're unclear about a course counting towards your degree program, especially electives. Just come and ask if you're ever unclear.
Someone's also asking about the average class size. And I guess if you want to speak to that, but also if you can share how easy is it to meet people and your peers in classes and outside of classes in graduate school. Adiba, we'll start with you this time.
Okay, sounds good. So I remember last semester, some of my classes were really small, so it was very intimate. You know, really, I was really able to form like personal connections through coursework and projects. So this semester, my classes, I think one of them is a bit larger, whereas the other one is, you know, like 5 or 6 students. So I think it really just varies. And then what was the second question you asked, Jessica? I forgot.
Oh, you pretty much answered it, the class size and how easy it is to meet people.
Okay. Right, to meet people. I think definitely it's important to step out of your comfort zone and, you know, attend clubs and like club events. So there are some cultural clubs that like I've joined and I've been able to really form connections that way. Also, another thing is if you reach out for research opportunities, you're able to make professional connections. And I think it's really important to go to like career fairs and, you know, talk to people that you're interested and just like meet people that way. I hope that answered the question.
I can't underestimate and undersell the value of finding those like places of where you feel like you belong. I think Adiba touched on it and it really, really helped me, like whether my class was 10 students big or 30 students big, because that's the ranges that I experienced. For me, it was important to find like SHIP, the Society of Hispanic Professional Engineers, or fellow leaders in other departments through the Viterbi Graduate Student Association, for example, you know, and then you almost, you can ask for help, you study together, you also kind of develop as a leader. So then you're not scared of like raising your hand in class or challenging a professor. I don't know. I think that's important to sometimes say like, well, I want to offer this perspective so that you can, you know, get something out of your degree, not just like expect everyone to just feed you information, you know? So it's, I think it's really, really important to kind of grow in that respect too.
Thank you. I see quite a few questions related to jobs and internships. Can you share if either of you have had an on-campus job? I know, Diego, you talked about working and studying at the same time. Anything about how one might be able to find employment, the types of jobs available to graduate students? Yeah, let's start with that. Adiba?
Yeah, so I do have an on-campus job as a Viterbi graduate ambassador. So I think this has been a really great experience because I've been able to really connect with people who are, you know, newly admitted and like prospective students, as well as other ambassadors like Diego. I do have an internship opportunity coming up in the summer. So I'm excited about that. And I feel like definitely, you know, being a Trojan really helped me form that connection and it really made me stand out, as well as, you know, being able to emphasize my professional experiences. I actually did have a full-time job for a while, but you know, Diego mentioned it earlier, like it is definitely really difficult to balance with 8 units. So I did have to kind of step back from that, but I definitely feel like internships or part-time jobs are very manageable.
And there's a lot of them. I have friends that you know, work on campus either as graders or course producers or sometimes even with facilities, right? Which as a civil engineer, for example, you want to sort of know how this works. Like how is space allocation working? How are they documenting what space even means within our campus? So there's always that. So you can sort of mold it into whatever helps you, I think.
In terms of finding internships and jobs, Adiba, you mentioned you were able to secure an internship for the summer. Congratulations. I'm just curious how both of you, if at all, have interfaced with our career connections and career services on campus or other opportunities within USC to be able to find internships or jobs. Adiba, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So through ASCE, the American Society of Civil Engineers, I submitted my resume, and that's actually how I was called to attend a career fair. And I met someone at Jacobs, the engineering firm, and they offered me an engineering internship just after meeting for 30 minutes. So I feel like I know I was so happy, and it was recent too. So I feel like, you know, when they ask you, like you get like emails saying submit your resume or like go check out this career fair and stuff like that, I think you should definitely take advantage of those opportunities because you never know where it will lead. And I think it's really important to stay on top of your emails so that you can, you know, make sure that you're getting all the information and able to meet deadlines and submit, you know, resumes, cover letters, and all that.
I had trouble unmuting myself. I think something that I'd like to add to that, I think that because a lot of my friends are also international students, the Viterbi Career Connections can sometimes give you all sorts of resources on how to approach a career fair when, you know, by even saying you're international, you're automatically like, oh, well, I don't know if I can help you there, and how to kind of go through that process. So they have a lot of resources that the tips, tricks, you know, and that something that I've heard a lot. And then they also kind of recommend that whether it is the American Society of Civil Engineers or sometimes our affinity groups, right? Like the National Society of Black Engineers, or I mentioned SHIP, they have all these conventions where career fairs are integrated into these workshops. So then, you know, you have all these different opportunities to practice your elevator pitch or to get someone to review your resume or do a little bit of mock interviewing. So they always provide these opportunities. But like Adiba said, like if you don't read your email and see that there's an opportunity coming up, you miss out. And then when push comes to shove, you think like, oh, how do I do this? They're there to help us.
I actually wanted to add one more thing. I think it's really important to update your LinkedIn account as well, because sometimes I'll just have people email me or reach out through LinkedIn, and you know they see that I'm in school, I'm getting my master's, and they're really interested in that.
Excellent, thank you. I'm seeing several questions in the Q&A that maybe Dr. DeBarros or Christine can help us answer related to the transportation programs in particular. Are either of you able to kind of help distinguish the difference between transportation systems and transportation engineering?
Okay, I have a little bit of knowledge I can share, and if Dr. DeBarros has anything to add. This is something that we had discussed with the faculty advisor, Dr. Jim Moore, recently, and he actually said most students should just apply to the Masters of Science in Transportation Engineering. Nearly everyone from systems ends up switching over. So I didn't get more why, but he runs them both, and he just said, it just seems based on the way the students are, the field that they're interested in, it just ends up that they move over. I will say about the program, all the programs within transportation, it's a very individualized like advisement and with intentional flexibility. So the reason like one of the programs says like 32 to 35, like it's really because the advisement is structured based on specific students' interests and paths that they might want to take within transportation. And so I am an advisor, but for transportation right now, we do have another faculty advisor who is working with those students, our transportation students, one-on-one to make sure that there's a coordination of classes that culminate into something that the student wants in terms of a degree outcome, whether that means they go into academia or end up going into a career field.
If I may add something, Christine did a great job, actually. You can think of transportation systems. I mean, Well, to the best of my knowledge, it's more of a, how should I put this? It's more interdisciplinary in transportation systems. I mean, there's some link to policy, to economics. It's more like the whole system as a whole. The engineering component, it's linked to how to manage these systems from a point of view of economics, policy, and so on. Whereas transportation engineering is just more hardcore engineering. You know, you go more in the computation aspects of what transportation engineering is all about. Jim Mora has very wise words, I think. He's been working with this program for many years. And as Christine said, I mean, I think most students should end up going transportation engineering.
And he did also share, just in terms of kind of research areas or recent innovations, that within the field of transportation, what he says that at USC research activities, this is kind of just to dovetail what Dr. DeBarros was saying about being so interdisciplinary. Those research activities include the Viterbi School of Engineering, of course, but the Price School of Public Policy as well. We have a MedTrans Transportation Center that has a ton of research going on there, and the USC Marshall School of Business. And then also we have affiliated work going on at Kendrick Global Supply Chain Institute, multiple research laboratories operated, by individual faculty investigators. And of note, USC has recently had research on urban freight movement and on technology such as adaptive cruise control, which has gotten national attention as well.
That's fantastic, Christine. Thank you. I did see some questions related to the labs and research in particular in that area. So thank you for covering that. Going along those lines, I'm curious if Diego and Adiba, have you had a chance to engage in research in any way as a master's student? I know, Diego, you've taken quite a trip with the department. If you want to share some information about that, I think that could go under the umbrella of research for sure.
Yeah, unfortunately, I knew that coming into a 2-year master's program, I wouldn't, and working, it would be really difficult for me to eventually get into research, although I don't discourage it. There are so many people that are really good at it. And there's a lot of really interesting subjects, robotics and so forth in relation to the construction field. But the class that Jessica is referring to is this amazing class that's offered by our department. It's called Innovation in Engineering and Design for Global Crises. And what this is that we get to essentially learn how to create a product or a service that is supposed to aid in making a difference in a community. And this past year, the location was Alaska. So we got to be trained in how to navigate the beginnings of a startup, which again, to be part of a civil engineering curriculum is just mind-blowing, right? It would teach us how to do user research, how to do prototypes, how to get financing for those prototypes, how to pitch it to venture capitalists. And our final, project for the first semester was giving a presentation, 5 minutes to be able to sell our idea. So these are, ways that we get trained. Even if it's not research, you get such specifically specialized information that you can then use that for other things too.
What an amazing experience. Adiba, did you have something to share too?
Yeah, I actually haven't got involved in research just yet, but I have emailed a few professors. I know there's a tsunami research center at USC that is they've made some really notable achievements and accomplishments. So I'm definitely interested, and I learned something from Diego.
Wonderful. I see a question too. Someone wants to understand what campus is like. I imagine both of you did your undergrad in a different university, yes? So can you give us a taste of how that compared to USC? What is USC campus life like? Diego, if you want to get started, or Adiba, either one.
Okay, sure. I did my undergrad at UC Berkeley. And first of all, you have to get used to the fact that you always need a sweater because it's always cold, and it's very hilly and all that. USC from the get-go has always been a place where, first of all, you're the heart of downtown Los Angeles. Within within a lift ride of all these great places to eat. The Coliseum, which is just a historic venue. I think the sports tradition at USC has been absolutely incredible. I love going to football games. I love seeing how people get into the whole UCLA versus USC rivalry. That's fun. And so I think that's been really good. And I grew up in LA, so for me it was kind of a way to kind of test that side of myself. So I really enjoyed it. It's really fun. It's not all challenging coursework. There's some fun to be had too.
Yeah, so I went to UC Irvine, and it was a really great experience. I feel like that was pre-COVID, so I was always on campus, living on campus. So I think it was definitely easier to go outside and meet people, and there was a really great campus life as well. So we had a university town center, and they always had food, like restaurants and some sort of event going on. I feel like USC is similar in that sense because the campus is so lively. I feel like you can go to the Village and there's always something going on. It's always really packed. I also know that they opened up a lot of new restaurants at USC's Village. So, they have Insomnia cookies and they're just so good, like really like freshly baked cookies all the time. And then as well as like when you're on campus, it's really like there's just always people, there's always something going on.
Great. Adiba, if you could give a piece of advice to these future students, what would it be? I know you're in your first year, right? So you recently started. It's fresh in your mind exactly what they're going through now. Do you have any tips for them?
Yeah, I feel like it's really important to talk to your professors, and it's like if you need help, always, reach out for help. Take advantage of your TAs, like their office hours, and if you need help or you want to form connections, that's usually how you do it, and that's how you get like that one-on-one interaction. So I think, don't be afraid to ask questions, and it's always scary when you first start. I feel like I'm just starting to get a hang of it. So it's normal and everyone's probably feeling the same way.
Diego, any words of advice?
Sure. When you look at grad school in general, I've tried to sort of compare it about to how I experienced undergrad. And then under undergrad, my focus was about getting all these technical skills, like learning the fundamentals, making sure that I as a civil engineer, I'd be able to hold my own in the scientific sense of the word. At USC, I think that you walk in with, at least I walked in with an expectation of what is my education going to do for me, kind of how do I make it my own? Because there's so many leading researchers and industry professionals that teach us that you don't want to take advantage. You want to take advantage as much as you can. So I think that was like a very important realization for me to make. How can I say, Professor Navarro, I was like, I actually don't necessarily agree with 100% of what you said because I read somewhere that, and that conversation is enough for you to suddenly not only have him remember you, but also to say like, okay, now I can also speak up. And so it's not just that imposter syndrome doesn't necessarily need to exist the same way that it did back in undergrad. So just be brave.
Professor Navarros, I'd love to ask you the same question if you have any advice for the students starting this fall.
Well, the advice I give is that I don't think ever in your life you're going to have a chance to focus so well on learning new things, right? I mean, this is a time. So take advantage, really take advantage, learn as much as you can. Take every opportunity that USC can actually give you. Your colleagues, and that's not just professors, I'm talking about your colleagues. You hear here Adiba and Diego are talking, for example, they're providing amazing tips and their own experiences that you can learn from, right? So it's not just an academic trip that you're doing. It's a life experience, right? So embrace it in every possible way, right? And I mentioned this before, if professors are challenging you, it's a good sign. That means that we believe in you, right? I mean, the worst that can happen is if you come here and you're not being challenged, right? So you're here to sweat, you're here to work hard, all right? You're here to enjoy, the lifetime, like the lifestyle here in LA, but also at USC as well. Enjoy the good food that we have here. But it's about your experience, right? So really take this opportunity, embrace it, learn as much as you can, because you're not sure when the next time you're going to have so much time to invest in your career as you have right now, right? So this is the time. So really take advantage of everything that USC can actually offer you. And that goes from faculty, talking to faculty members, advisors, academic advisors, like Christine over here, right? I mean, talking to your colleagues, it's the whole package. And that's the advice I have to give you.
That's great. Thank you. Christine, as an advisor who works so closely with students, I'm sure you have advice as well. Is there anything you would like to add?
I love what Diva said about checking your email, because that really, a lot of stuff is happening at USC, and I know that you guys get a lot of email, but I think that's how you can get plugged in and not miss opportunities by I know we all get a lot of email, but reading that, and certainly though, asking questions when you get stuck, you don't have to go through that process alone. We're here as an advising team, faculty, other students. We can help troubleshoot with you. So, if you ever get stuck on something, gosh, what can I do with this degree? Or am I in the right degree program? We're here to help you troubleshoot.
Thank you. We just have a few more minutes left. So if you have any final questions for students, professor, advisor, feel free to enter them in the Q&A. I saw two questions asking about the distinction between construction management and construction engineering. If someone can speak to that, and also the OPT eligibility for both programs.
I'm sure everyone else might have something to chime in. I'll just give my 2 cents, which is the Masters of Construction Management. That's our 32-unit program. It's designed for really anyone to get involved in. You don't need an engineering degree to get into that management program. The Masters of Science in Civil Engineering, with the emphasis in construction engineering, that is designed for students who have an undergraduate degree in civil engineering or highly related field. So, kind of the management piece does focus a little bit more, as the Masters of Construction Management does focus more on the management skills side of things, whereas the Masters of Science in Civil Engineering, Construction Engineering has that maybe some management courses you can take as electives, but is focusing on the kind of the technical side of that as well.
Okay, thank you. And in terms of OPT, it's my understanding that the Master of Civil Engineering and Construction Engineering is eligible for the STEM extension for OPT. So that means you get the 1 year of OPT plus 2 additional years, 3 years total, whereas Master of Construction Management is not eligible for OPT. Okay, great.
Jessica, there's a hand that's been a while. Jeremiah Laduca, I think there's been a hand for quite some time. I just want to make sure that he's okay with the question, or.
Yes, please.
Hi, my name is Jeremiah. I'm a transportation engineering. That's my sector, and just going through my questions. I think the only thing I had that I don't think was touched yet was the. I know you talked about the labs and whatnot, but I don't know, is there any way you could go into more depth into like what they're used for, and if there's anything specifically related for transportation? And then also, I saw online that there is a combined program with urban planning and civil engineering. And I wanted to hear a little bit more about that, and like what, who's that directed for, and what interests would those people have would be going into that combined program.
That was a lot. I think I remember the last question because it was the last said. So I will say for that, the urban planning development program, we do have, I think you might be looking at one of our certificate programs that we run jointly with the policy, price policy school here at USC. And so again, we do have a lot of transportation students interested in the policy side of the transportation questions and answers that we need to come up with, so that you might find yourself in price maybe picking up the certificate, which is something that we've seen, I would say, a handful of transportation students will go down and pick up extra classes to get that certificate. And again, it's highly specialized where students are working with their faculty advisor to choose the right courses. I think there was another question about labs, and are you kind of asking like what labs are used for in general, the research labs, or are you asking like if you have like a lab class as a student?
Yeah, just the research labs. I know you mentioned a lot of them, but just like I don't know the distinction between them. But like, yeah, what's done in the labs? What are they used for? And like what's available for students for research and whatnot?
I think Dr. Jabaros might be better suited to answer kind of like what
Sure,
happens
sure,
in the
sure, of
labs
course.
as a researcher himself.
Thank you, Christine. Thank you. So we have two major labs in our department. Okay, so one is on the water side, which is in the environmental, which is not the case here because all our students here are in civil engineering. So that's in Bigler Hall, where we do water quality testing, wastewater treatment analysis, going deep into the biological processes. We also have in the environmental side labs related to membrane, the development of membranes, or testing the efficiency of membranes, for example. And then we also have a structural mechanics, lab. That's a lab where you have, all the typical civil engineering, structural engineering devices, to measure stress in walls and beams and so on, and different types of loading. And that in that area where we have the civil and structural engineering lab, we also have a tsunami, let's say, part of the research lab, which is pretty much like a big water tank, like where you can study waves, so pretty much it's like a tank of water where you have a wave maker, and then you can actually study how waves propagate in those environments experimentally. We also have a 3D printing lab as well. I think we have two of those actually. One in a very small scale and the other one at a larger scale. And these are the labs that I'm aware of in the department. Let me see if something else. Most of the other work being done in the Department of Computational Labs. So I think laboratories is only just experimental from point of view, hands-on, where you're actually measuring things, but also computational labs too, and that we have plenty. And of course, they're available. I mean, depending on which classes you take, you're going to have access to those labs too, right? So some classes, they have a lab component too.
Thank you so much. I forgot about one more question. I have a 5th year of eligibility for athletics, and I was wondering like if you knew anybody that was doing that, and what that balance may be like, and what that can go through. I had already reached out to the coach, and he had like accepted me already, and I was, that is on the table for as an option, and I just wanted to hear if you knew anything about that. And like, I know we talked about managing time and stuff like that. Just any I don't know, advice about that.
I think it's the same thing. I did have one other graduate student who was a student athlete as well. She was playing for the soccer team. And it was just, she was very focused on the time management. So, everyone has the same amount of hours in a day, and it's just about how you're going to use them. I would sometimes say in our observation that the busiest students are the ones who are like using their time most efficiently. Like because they have so much to do, they don't waste any time. So if getting involved in athletics or a job or whatever it is, it can be an extracurricular activity. If that motivates you to use your time better, fantastic. So it can be done. I just think it's about, assessing if that's something that if that's something you can handle and keep all the other balls kind of up in the air that you want to keep up.
Thank you.
Are you going to tell us what sport?
Yes, track and field. I'm a
Nice.
middle distance runner.
Cool. Awesome.
Okay, great. We are at 6:01, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap things up now. Thank you all for joining today. I want to thank, of course, Dr. DeBarros, Christine, Diego, Adiva, for all of your wise words. We want to make sure you all know you are warmly welcomed at the University of Southern California. We really hope to see you this fall. Does anyone else want to say any parting words?
No, just thank you so much all for showing up, and I hope we answered your questions. And if there are things that you have questions after today, I know Jessica will be sharing additional information, but we do hope to see you here in the fall. We have a really fun department. It's a great place, and so we'd love for you to join.
Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you all. Fight on.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Hi, Christine. Can I speak to you for a little bit?
Yeah, let's see if everyone else signs off. And I have limited time because I'm supposed to get back to my kids. So I apologize, but yeah, I can do
No
that.
worries.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Diego, again. I feel like you've seen a lot of me this week with all the
This is a good thing. This is a good thing. It was good seeing you all.
It was good to see you too. I
Bye.
can't
It was
believe
nice meeting
Oh.
you.
I'm shocked. I really can't believe that you're graduating so soon.
I
So-
know, it's not fair. I'm kidding. Yes, it is. All right.
I know you're
everyone, have a
ready.
good
You're
evening.
ready. Okay, hold on. Let's see.
Bye.
Hi. Hold on. We still have people.
Mhm.
There. Okay.
Okay,
Usually
great.
I'm like, I don't know why you're still here. This is
No
how's it going?
worries. Good. How are you?
Good, good. Did Emily get back to you?
She did. So I
Great.
just got her email. So I had a few questions and I was just wondering if you have time next week to meet, like, and actually have like a meeting.
We are doing one-on-one, we are holding office hours. So if you want to
Okay.
come to those, that would probably be the best. Right
Okay.
now Gerald, the other part of student services is out on
Mhm.
maternity leave. So we're
Got it.
trying to get everyone seen as soon as possible. But if you want to come to
Mhm.
office hours,
Yeah.
we have like 4 of us. So any one of us
Okay.
can help you. Emily's really great. So if you want to
Okay.
reach out to her too, she was actually a student at USD, got her
Oh,
degree in
okay.
biomedical engineering,
Okay.
master's. But oddly wants to do student services, which is like a dream come true because I'll just basically like throw what I consider
Yeah.
questions, and she's like, "Oh, then I would just do this." But
Yeah.
you could be really good hands with her. I'm
Okay.
out tomorrow and then part of next week.
Okay.
But that's what I'm saying. If you're already, I had asked Emily I was getting a lot of emails, so I sent some to Emily. But you can come to the walk-in hours that we're having. And I know that Maral is going to be sending out an email about that, about the time. And if those times don't work, or you just want to chat with Emily, Emily will be able to help you out too.
So if I respond to Emily, I can schedule something with her.
Yeah,
Okay, great.
yeah. If she,
Yeah.
I'm assuming she's available, but I mean, yeah, if it's something, is
Yeah.
anything tricky?
So I actually tried to register for the 2 courses, but I think I need D clearance for E&E. And then
Okay.
for the 453 class, it says I need chemistry. So I thought maybe I needed to
Oh, you
get
just need to
something
submit,
cleared.
you just need to submit a D clearance and prereq waiver
Oh, okay.
through my
And then I
Viterbi.
just had a few questions. I just had a few questions about like next semester, but I know you're busy, so I could just talk
I'm
to
so
Emily
sorry.
about that.
It
Yeah.
stinks. My colleague was like, "It's gonna be fine." I was like, "But that's
Yeah.
you're gone." Like, look, I know I did maternity leave twice, and it was amazing to be like, "Bye, guys."
Yeah.
It's still a lot of work at home. I mean, let's not. Yeah, it's exhausting, but
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, Emily's gonna be a good guide. If you want to wait
Mhm.
until, I think realistically, just with the
Mhm.
way the admin work is piling up, I probably will have
Mhm.
more availability like April 11th. So if you're
Okay.
thinking you need more, like you want to troubleshoot with Emily,
Yeah.
she's really good. And she actually
Okay,
was part of
perfect.
BGSA.
Mhm.
She's just good. And
Okay, good.
thinks like
Yeah.
an engineer, like
Mhm.
it's three steps beyond you. Like you've asked a question.
Okay.
She's like, yeah, but what about this, this, and this? I'm like, darn girl, where were you like
Okay.
during the pandemic? So I think you're in
Yeah.
good hands. But if you want to come back, like, if
Mhm.
you don't get all your answers,
Mhm.
come back around April 11th and just to shoot me
Mhm.
an email. I can kind of schedule something at that point.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, but it
Yeah,
looks
so
like
I don't
but D clearance, my Viterbi. You can just
Okay.
shoot that in. And then some students are saying like, oh, I haven't got my D clearance. Like, don't
Yeah.
worry, no one's getting
It will
D
come
clearance
through.
any faster than anyone else. So
Okay.
we're just making sure the people who should get it should get it. Like we have some
Got it.
non-Viterbi students trying to hustle in. And so I've
Mm.
just been trying to train everyone like
Yeah.
we're gonna get you guys first. So as long as you get it in, I'm not worried
Okay.
about you getting the
Mhm.
class. It's just more of
Okay.
us entering it all.
So there's no way the classes will fill up or anything like that, right? I should be perfectly fine.
Yeah.
Okay, sounds
Yeah,
good.
we can, the classes we control, even when they do fill
Mhm.
up, we usually just
Mhm.
have to get them moved, if they
Okay.
get too big.
Mhm.
But I
Okay.
know that not the grad
Don't
level,
see that.
not a grad.
Yeah.
Like undergrad is kind of like Hunger Games. Grad is totally
Yeah.
different. Yeah,
They're smaller. Yeah.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Okay, great. Well, I'm glad she finally got back to me. I was really worried about that, but I feel so much better now.
Good. Yeah, we're asking. I know. It's just taking us like probably 3 or 4 business right now, just with the influx of we're doing graduate and undergrad. So we have like 300
Okay,
students
that makes
emailing
sense.
us. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Yeah,
and
I
then
know.
our chair is like, can we do a podcast? Like, we cannot do a podcast, but we will do one for
Yeah,
you. But
I'd be
yeah,
interested in that. Yeah.
but
Okay,
it
sounds
will be
good.
good. I think everyone will enjoy it. We will roll it out
Yeah.
here. Okay,
Okay,
hang in
okay.
there. All right.
Yeah, thank you. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.